Good afternoon, Rio Grande Eagles. Hello, my third graders. And it's so great for you to be coming to check your solutions for your DMA. Thank you so much. We are going to be talking about week 8, day 1. So we are going to be looking at our first problem, which is a pictograph. Now, if any of you have an idea of what a pictograph is, look at the very first letters of the word pictograph. So, picto, if you remember, picto means picture. So, when we look at a pictograph, we need to remember to look at what does each picture represent in our pictograph. So down here at the bottom, and if everybody could, I'd like for them to write the word key, because the key lets us know how many pictures are being represented by the amount for that picture. So each picture of a tree is equal to 4 trees. So every time I see a picture of a tree, that tells me that I have 4 trees. Now, if we look at the title of this pictograph, it's called Trees Planted. And it gives us the months in which the trees were planted. So there were trees planted in September, there were some trees planted in October, and there were some trees planted in November. If I were to look at the number of trees that were planted in each month, I could use this picture to think about how many trees were planted. So for every tree I see, that's going to be represented by 4. Now this is really nice. Pictographs are really nice to use with multiplication because it's groups of the same amount until I get to my half trees. Then they're not the same amount anymore. But for September, and I'm just going to put a little sheet of paper here to just kind of represent that. For September, I have 4 trees for this picture, 4 trees for that picture that were planted, 4 trees were planted, and that represents 4 trees. A half a tree is half of 4. So what is half of 4? If you said 2, that's correct. So when I want to find out how many trees were planted in September, I could add 4 plus 4 plus 4, and then 2 more. So really, 3 groups of 4 is 12, and then 2 more is going to give me 14. October, I have 4 for that tree, 4 for this tree, 4 for that tree, and 4 is being represented for that picture in that tree. So this would actually be a true multiplication sentence because I have 1, 2, 3, 4 groups of 4. And when I add 4 groups of 4, 4 plus 4 is 8, and this 4 plus 4 is 8, and we know that 8 plus 8 is 16. Then for November, I can see that I have 4 trees planted for that picture, 4 trees planted for this picture, and since this is half of 4 is 2. And so 4 plus 4 is 8, plus 2 more is 10. So now that I've really analyzed and looked carefully at my pictograph, I can go back up to my question, and I'm just going to quickly write down my numbers of trees here. There's 14 planted that week, or that month, and 16 in October, and 10 in November. Now my question asks me, how many more trees were in September than November? So remember, when you see the clue words, how many more, And the word then, that means that we're looking for the difference between the two amounts. And when we say difference, we're thinking about subtraction. So September had more trees planted than in November. So how many more trees were planted in September than in November? There were 4 more trees. So now let's take a look at our word problem for today. It says there are 567 people who want tickets to a concert. There are only 417 tickets available. That means that 567 want to go to the concert, but only 417 people are going to get tickets. It's asking you how many people will not be able to get tickets. So we know the total number of people that want the tickets. However, we know that they're not all going to get tickets because there's only 417. So we want to find the difference of how many people are not going to get tickets. So if I take all my people, these are all the people that want the tickets, and the people who are going to get tickets, then we are going to, when we subtract, find out how many people are left not getting tickets, with no tickets. Actually, that looks pretty close. So, I have a part of the people that are going to get tickets. I have part of the people that aren't going to get tickets. But these are all the people that want tickets. So if I subtract 500 minus 400, take the 60 and subtract 10, and take my 7 and subtract 7, then I've taken apart each place value. So 100 minus 400 is 100. I can subtract that. I can subtract 10 from 60 because I have more than what I'm subtracting. So that would leave me with 50. And 7 minus 7 is of 0. So when I put this number back together, I have 150 people that have not or will not get a ticket. Now, another way to look at this is I could take the 567 and subtract one place value at a time. So I could take the 567 and subtract 400, and if I take 400s from this 500s, that leaves me with 167. I take the 167 and subtract 10, and if I subtract 10, that's going to leave me with 157. And if I take 157 and subtract my 1s, my 7 minus 7 is going to leave me with 150 because I'm subtracting this 7 away from this 7. And that leaves me with what's left in my hundreds and my tens. It should come out to be the same as when you are subtracting using the algorithm. So, if I subtract 7 minus 7, I get 0, which is exactly what happened here when I subtracted. If I subtract 60 minus 10, I get 50, which is what happened when I subtracted my 10s here. And if I subtract my 500 and my 400, like I did here, I'm going to get 100. So, just basically, you're using an extended algorithm, but you're still going to come up with the same practice. So, remember, to, when you explain, you should be saying, I had my ones place, I subtracted 7 minus 7 is 0. Then I subtracted my 10 from the 60, which is 50, and I subtracted 400 from the 500, which left me with 100, and together that's 150. So we should be using our understanding of place value and where the digit is to decide how to explain your thinking. If we look at our next problem, we have 493 plus 229. So again, we have several different ways that we can approach this problem. If we work on using by place value, we can take the larger of the two add-ins, take 493, add 200 from here. That would give us 693. Then I take my 693 and add 20 more. Now, what happens when I add 10 more to this 90? If you said it makes 200, you'd be correct. So that means I'd have 703 from 110. If I add another 10, then that should give me 713. So right now, I'm at 713. And then if I take that 713 and add 9, then I add that 9 to 3, and that's going to make 12. And what that is, I've got another 10, because 12 is 10 and 2. And so if I add that 10 here to my tens place, now I have 720, and then I still have 2, 722. Now another way to think adding 9 is, what if you just add 10, which is very easy to do here to the tens place, add 10, and then subtract 1. So if I add 713 and I add 10 more, that would be 723, and then I take 1 away, that leaves me with 722. So a couple of different ways to think about that to make it easier mentally. You could also think about it the same way when you're using your algorithm and lining up your place values. You had 12 here for your ones, which is still going to be the same thing here. You have your 2 in your ones place, and that 20, that 10 gets added here to the new 10 when you regrouped. So 9 and 90 and 1 more 10 makes 100, and 2 more 10s makes 120, which tells me I can regroup that 100 in the hundreds place. And when I regroup these hundreds, 400 plus 200 is 600, and the 100 that I ended up with here from the 10 tens is now a 100. So I have 700. So 722, these should both match. Our next problem is rounding. Again, remember the word about is a clue word to tell us that we are to round these numbers. And it tells us to round to the nearest 10. But we're still forgetting in some cases when we're looking at our problems in our DMA quiz that we're forgetting that we don't want an exact amount, we want an about amount. So 196 is between 190 and 200. It's closer to 200 because it's 4 away from 200, but it's 6 away from 190. Remember, 195 is right in the middle, and since it's right in the middle, we're going to round 196 up to 200. 715, the two tens that it's between is 710 because we look at the tens place, and 720. Remember, 15 is right in the middle. So our rule, if it's right in the middle, is to, yep, you guessed it, round up to 720. Now when I add, I notice that I have 200s, and I'm going to add them to the 700s here. And that would give us 900s. We don't have any ones or tens, so when we add this 20, we're just going to leave it as 20. And those are our solutions for today, DMA, Week 8, Day 1. Come back tomorrow on Tuesday, and we will solve some more problems. Have a great day.